They came from not wanting to talk to each other at all to just like not even looking at me, looking at each other and having a conversation with each other. I was shocked because this was like one of the first formal conversations that they had with each other. And they took it and they ran with it.
Hi there, I'm Annalisa from the team behind Parlay, and I recently sat down with Eman, and she shared how she set up a fishbowl discussion with her class using the verbal roundtable. Check it out.
So I teach grade 9, and so freshmen come in with not a lot of experience with Socratic seminars and no experience really communicating or asking each other questions coming off of the COVID years. They're having a lot of difficulty with creating their own questions and having discussions, and they're very shy and reluctant. I've only ran one other discussion with this group as like a pre-reading activity for To Kill a Mockingbird. But this one became more of a formal discussion where I gave them prep work. So for the week prior to the discussion, they were prepped with 2 articles, and they also read chapter 15 from To Kill a Mockingbird, which was the whole Atticus gets confronted by a mob and they're there to lynch Tom Robinson. So they had already read that prior to the discussion. So I gave them 2 supplementary articles and I split the class in half. And this is where it created the fishbowl. One half of the class read the one article and the other half of the class read the other article. So they created questions in their groups. I made them like expert groups depending on their article. And so during the seminar itself, the inner circle discussed their article first for 10 minutes. And then the outer circle were taking notes on Parlay, listening, and answering questions on the back channel on the notepad. Then they have to tell me what they learned from the inner circle. And then after 10 minutes, they switch in, and the other article group goes in, they discuss, they do the same thing. Outside circle is taking notes on Parlay. At some point, they just started doing it themselves. Like I wasn't even telling them, okay, you speak and you speak. So, which was shocking to me because they came from not wanting to talk to each other at all to just like not even looking at me, looking at each other and having a conversation with each other. I was shocked because this was like one of the first formal conversations that they had with each other. And they took it and they ran with it, which was really great. And then the final 10 minutes, they take both of those articles and I opened the discussion up to everybody. So people in the inner circle and the outer circle could answer questions in connection with To Kill a Mockingbird. Had it on the automatic tap in. So I just put people in the queue. So if there was a speaker already there, I told that person to tap in with new idea if that's what they were presenting. So they would tap in with a new idea. They would present the question that they created during the week of the prep work. And then the other kids would tap in with either build on or challenge. And so when they would tap in, I would just order the students in the queue. So that was really helpful too, because I have a couple of students who constantly want to engage and they don't really give a chance to anybody else. So I would make sure that I put the person who hasn't spoken up before them. I used nudge a couple times because I had 1 or 2 students who didn't speak at all, and I actually allowed them to come in. So I would nudge them. They would see it. They knew that it was part of the grades to come and speak at least once or twice during the seminar. So it kind of urged them. I really surprisingly didn't have a lot of students who didn't participate. I maybe had 1 or 2 students in each class period that didn't participate. But overall, I think, and they used it really well. It was very user friendly. What helps is conducting a written roundtable with similar questions prior to the verbal roundtable. So the night before the Socratic seminar, I always make them do the written roundtable first, discuss online about the anchor text, and then come in with the supplementary texts. So the assessment really comes in handy for the written roundtables because then I can tell them, you need to pose a question. I usually just give direct assessment right there. So like at the end of the seminar, I told them I would like to have seen you refer to the text more. I would like to have seen you engage and build on someone else's idea more. And I just keep notes of that. Honestly, I heard them talking to each other and they're like, you had great questions. You had great questions. And they would nudge each other to speak. They're like, you have to talk. Like, you have to talk. I think they like feeling in control of the conversation. And that's the kind of atmosphere I got when they were leaving the class. They were like really proud of themselves. As corny as it is, but they were really proud of themselves that they conducted the entire conversation, and I really didn't facilitate anything. I didn't have to pose any questions. They took complete control of it. And you could see it on their face that they were like leaving class happy. I think it allows them more autonomy over the things that they learn. I'm very lecture based, but I think they like the freedom of being able to pose their own questions and being able to ask each other those questions, like deeply
Mhm.
analytical questions that they don't think they're even capable of. I like to do the lecture based because I'm very skills based teacher. I need them to understand a lot of the skills prior to even reading. Um,
Mhm.
but when it comes to discussions, I do use Parlay often. I do a lot of written discussions.
Mhm.
Um, I was very hesitant to do the verbal discussions. Maybe that's a fault of mine where I didn't feel like that they would enjoy it or that they would be too shy or they'd be reluctant to do it. So I usually do one Socratic seminar per anchor text, and we have like 4 anchor texts. So 4 during the year. That's like a high stakes that requires a lot of prep work. Um,
Mhm.
but I'm probably in the future will probably start doing more verbal discussions after seeing the result of this one. It went really well.